Jamaica's public health system is broken. Every week we hear the horror stories. Long waiting times, no beds, basic equipment not working. Hospitals and clinics are in crisis. While this government cuts ribbons, Jamaicans are being left to suffer in overcrowded, under-resourced facilities like this one. The next PNP government will change this. We're going to shift focus. We want to prioritize actual care for people when they're sick, not these mega projects with huge cost overruns and that can't finish years after they start. Refurbishing every operating theatre, creating urgent care centres island-wide so people stop waiting days for help on benches or floors. We're going to launch national screening programs to target the biggest killers of our people: cancer, hypertension, which is pressure, diabetes, which is sugar. We want to catch them early so that people's lives can be saved. We will make the investments to ensure that every parish hospital has the equipment it needs to deliver the services required by the people. And stop the outsourcing racket that leaves patients with nothing but bills and delays. And we will support our healthcare workers, not just with words, but with housing, with training opportunities, and with respect. This is not about PR, it's about saving actual people's lives. Next PNP government will deliver proper, decent healthcare for the people of Jamaica. Time come.
A woman was in custody after she allegedly stabbed a pregnant woman multiple times outside the Chetwood Memorial Primary School early this morning. Now, TVJ News understands that the women had an altercation which later turned physical. It's alleged that the incident stemmed from a love triangle gone wrong. The injured woman, who police say is about 5 months pregnant, was rushed to hospital in a service vehicle. Her condition is unknown. According to a TVJ source, the incident which happened some distance from the school, did not affect classes.
St. James police are investigating the suspected suicide of a 13-year-old student of the Hopewell High School in Lilliput in the parish on Thursday. Allegations are that shortly after his mother flogged him for returning home from school late, the boy was later found hanging from the bathroom. Kimberly Petty reports.
The teen has been identified as Twain Scars, a grade 8 student. Reports are that the teen had been repeatedly returning home from school late since last academic year and was warned by his mother. On Thursday, it is alleged that he got home after 6 p.m. and his mother reprimanded him. The mother went searching for him hours later and found the bathroom door closed. She made several efforts to open the door, but it proved futile, and so it is understood that she called her family for assistance. The report further stated that the relatives breached the door and found the teen hanging from the bathroom shower with an electrical cord around his neck. He was released using a knife and rushed to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The Barrowtown police are investigating the matter. Kimberly Petty for TVJ News.
Do not return until further notice. The message that was sent to 13 pharmacy interns on September 1, 2025. The interns across Cornwall Regional and Savannah Lamar Hospital say they were told there were no funds to pay them. Since then, their main questions have been, why was this not communicated prior to the commencement of the internship, and why wasn't their mandatory internship budgeted for?
At first we were confused, and then we got some more information which said that the region has decided that they do not want to accept any pharmacy interns. So we should stay home until that is sorted out. That's the only correspondence we got. It was a WhatsApp message, and that was it.
This was a major worry, especially for those who have incurred costs to relocate. On September 4, they were invited to orientation.
It was said to us that the matter was escalated to central government and we're waiting for a response from central government. But the region is adamant that they do not want to accept any pharmacy interns and they're not willing to pay any pharmacy interns. We're also told that we are being allowed to come back in to our respective sites the following Monday, which would have been this Monday, September 8th.
They said when they did a full day of work at their respective sites, and after such, they were contacted by the Human Resources Department at the Western Regional Health Authority,
which basically said that we were not supposed to come in, and they were asking who gave us authorization to come in to the sites. So they told us that the following day, Tuesday, September 9th, we would receive an email, a formal email telling us that while deliberations and discussions are going on, we're supposed to stay home.
But the interns say there was no formal notice. That's when they took to social media with a series of posts. Now on September 11, the Western Regional Health Authority said each year it commits to accommodating 5 pharmacy interns in keeping with its budgetary provisions and training capacity. But for the current period, there were 13 interns, significantly more than the number originally planned and budgeted for. In response, it said it engaged the Ministry of Health to request additional budgetary support in order to accommodate the increased number of interns. The authority has also confirmed that the matter has since been settled and all interns have been facilitated. In the meantime, another intern says there's now another concern.
It would affect the payment for that period, but what it would mainly affect is that we'd have to do extra hours outside of the mandatory internship period.
The authority says it values the contribution of pharmacy interns to the delivery of healthcare and remains committed to supporting their training and professional development. Ramarda Lyons, TVJ News.
Thursday, it's September 11, 2025. As always, we thank you so much for being here with us. Wherever you are on Radio Jamaica 94fm.com, onespotmedia.com, or radio frequencies, or the Radio Jamaica app. Coming up in today's program, we talk to the General Secretary of the People's National Party. What's next for the... We're joined by the General Secretary of the People's National Party and MP-elect for Eastern Westmoreland, Dr. Dayton Campbell. Dr. Campbell, afternoon. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Good afternoon and good afternoon to your listeners.
All right. I was saying to my listeners that you guys have been hard to reach over the past few days. What's been happening?
The past few days? I've been around for the last few days. I don't know. I'm not aware that someone was trying to reach me.
Okay. Can look at your missed calls on your phone, but all right. So, so one of the things I had played just before you came on, the comment Mr. Golding made, where he was speaking about how the PNP performed and that the support is continuing for incoming MPs on the opposition side for him to continue as leader of the opposition. So first of all, in terms of what the public can expect from the opposition side this parliament?
Well, coming out of the elections, as persons would imagine that we are a little bit disappointed because you didn't go into the election just to have a good performance. You went in to try and win it. We were coming from far behind and we knew it was a difficult task. We thought we prepared well and we ran a good campaign. And certain things happened on the day and we weren't successful. We have 28 members of parliament, which is a 100% increase from where we were 5 years ago. So you can expect that the PNP in the parliament will be more vibrant. Certainly, we have a good mix of young, enthusiastic, bright, educated persons who have been at the top of their fields before entering politics. And you have some persons like myself who are returning, who would have some experience from before. And then, of course, you have a few of the seniors that have been there for multiple terms. So we'll hold the government to account. We'll ensure that we put the interests of the country at the forefront of what we're doing, and to ensure that we stand up for the rights of those who send us to the parliament, to ensure that they're always represented and that what is being done is being done in the best interest of Jamaica.
All right, at the break, hold the thought for me a little bit. We'll come back in just a moment talking to General Secretary of the People's National Party. We continue with you on Beyond the Headlines. I'm Dion Jacksmiller talking to the General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell. Now, Dr. Campbell, you were saying before the break that, it is somewhat disappointing because you do go into an election to win. So, albeit the improved performance over 2020, wouldn't you as Gen Sec and the party leader bear responsibility for not carrying the party over the line?
I do take responsibility for not being able to carry it over the line. I don't think anyone would shy away from saying that. We are the persons at the helm of the party and the persons that were tasked to do so. When we started out, not a lot of persons believed that we would have a chance at winning. I think we got to where we were, that persons believed that we could based on the hard work that we had put in over the term. And the leader of the party was absolutely amazing in just his commitment to the task. I think from all levels of the party, I've heard them say they've never seen a leader work as hard, including the former leaders have said so. He was out there, he pounded the pavement. I think we ran a good campaign, we performed well in the debates. We provided a manifesto to the country early enough that they were able to digest what was in it. And going into the election, I still think we had a pretty good chance of winning. We lost 4 seats by less than 500, and we had 28, and we won those 4, we'd have been at 32. So yes, we do take responsibility, but I still think it was a credible performance because I think it's the first you're having an opposition party winning 14 seats. It's the most seats won by an opposition party without them forming government. So I think it was a credible performance. In 2016, when we lost government, we lost 11 seats when we fell from 42 to 31. And Andrew Holness became Prime Minister. So we won more seats now than the Labour Party did then. We're just coming from too far behind. And so we didn't get over it. But we accept responsibility, but we think it was an incredible performance. And had certain things not happened on the day, the results may have been different.
Does that suggest so that perhaps the party needs new leadership going forward?
Well, it's a democratic party, we're willing to serve. It depends on what the membership of the party has to say. If they believe that it was a credible performance and that we put out a good effort and they think it is worthwhile that we should stay in the positions that we currently occupy, then we will continue to serve. If they believe that we are to go in a different direction, then we'll continue to support the party and continue to be a part of the mission. The PNP is not beholden to either of us. We serve at the request of the people, and we are happy for the confidence that they have reposed in us. Certainly, where the leader is concerned, we had a meeting yesterday with the officers and with the candidates. And of the elected MPs, 26, excluding the leader, 26 out of 27 would have signed. And the other person who didn't sign is off the island currently, signing the letter to go to the Governor General for Mark Golding to be the leader of the opposition. So, as I said before, I think we ran a good campaign. We did a lot of work just to bring the party back into contention, and I think most people are appreciative of that.
It was said at the press briefing earlier that you're calling for an independent inquiry into the election. Can you tell me what that means and what you have in mind?
Right, so maybe our silence in the days after the election was because we did not want to be premature in what we're saying, and we believe that we have to ensure that we are responsible and that we don't say anything that could possibly cause any upheaval in the country. But that at the same time we also ensure that we don't sweep anything under the rug that should not be swept under it. So coming out of the election, there are some concerns. One is that the turnout was only 39%, but still we had delays in voting at several polling stations, and a lot of persons got frustrated and left. This is something that we saw coming, and we had discussions at the ECJ meeting to have an additional employee that would pull the persons who don't have their IDs on the day out of the line. So, because that slows up the process where they have to go to the black book and all of those things. It takes an average about 20 minutes for an individual to vote if they don't have the ID. With the ID, it takes about 5 minutes. So, the idea was that we'd pull them out into a separate line and start the processing from outside. That didn't take place everywhere. and that led to the long lines, the delay in voting, and a lot of persons getting frustrated and leaving. And there are also issues the suppression of votes, and several offers were made to our persons, to some of the workers, for them to turn over the canvas list, for them not to work. There are a few polling stations where no worker turn up on the day. There are persons who have received some form of financial assistance or otherwise, and ink was in the field the day before. They were asked to dip their fingers and those sort of things. And so there are some concerns there, and what we want is to ensure that we have a process that is credible, and that when the results are out, that we all can accept it and know that this was a free and a fair election.
So how do you equate that call with an independent inquiry, with at the same time saying you accept the results?
Well, because you don't have sufficient evidence necessarily to say that it would have overturned this constituency as that constituency, but it's still something that needs to be addressed, because it's a very dangerous thing to happen in the electoral process in the country. The democracy of the country would be at risk if we were to go down that road. And so you'd want to arrest that situation and extirpate and remove those elements from it as soon as possible. We are not going down the road, because what we don't want to do, as I said, is create instability. We are accepting. There are some constituencies, East Portland, South East St. Mary, South St. James, where members of the Labour Party, South Trelawney, they even visited on Comrade Patmore at his home and were threatening him. And other in East Portland, South East St. Mary, there's vandalism and intimidation taking place. So there's a refusal to accept some of those results at the constituency level. We're not trying to do that. We have been very responsible in saying to our supporters, let us examine the situation. We are getting reports at the constituency level, regional level, and there's a national appraisal team that is being put in place, so we can learn from the process and we can make suggestions to make the system better. But we still think there is need for a review based on the anecdotal evidence and for the few persons that have come forward thus far to say that this did happen.
The JLP also had a press conference today, and Dr. Chris Tufton said the PNP is trying to cast doubt on the electoral process and calling for this independent inquiry. Let me just play that.
The reality is that after every general election, there is a process of review that is automatic almost by the representatives on the Electoral Commission and the independent members. Obviously, for those who don't know, there are representatives from both political organizations, PNP and the JLP, who are present and who are part of the governance and implementation arrangements of our electoral process supported in law. And so the PNP cannot claim a disadvantage in this regard. And if they identify weaknesses, then clearly they must also place some of that responsibility on their own members.
And he also said that the allegations about voter suppression are attempts to justify why the PNP lost.
And this for us is unfortunate, and it only serves, we believe, to fuel a level of uncertainty, perhaps even anger by their supporters, as has been characterized by their campaign generally. Sour grapes is how I am tempted to describe this response coming out of the elections. The facts are that they lost. The people have expressed their will to continue with this government, which we are grateful for. And what I would advise, even though it's not my place so to do, the PNP to do, is to engage in their own process of self-reflection to determine why they fell short.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, campaign chair for the Jamaica Labour Party. Dr. Campbell, response?
The specious argument appears factual on the face of it, but as you dig deep into it, you realize that it's actually not correct. To suggest that because we have members on the ECJ that we have to take responsibility for how the EOJ executes their work means that there's a significant deficit of knowledge with Minister Tufton. Now, the ECJ is like the board, and the EOJ deals with the operation. You have presiding officers, you have poll clerks. the ECJ as ink. If those ink gets into the community, how does being a member of the ECJ stop that from happening? How would we stop that from happening? By having presiding officers who are not properly trained or who deliberately slow down the voting process so that an individual is standing in line for 2 or 3 hours. What would a member of the ECJ have to do with that? That is an operational thing. That is not a voting, that's the operational at the EOJ level that you'd have to deal with those matters. And so I think Minister Tufton should familiarize himself a little bit more with how the system works before he makes such utterances. This notion about our campaign being aggressive is also hypocritical because quite a few of the JLP members have used the Blood and Fire song in their celebration. So obviously it was that they knew that it was a hit and it was very popular, and that's why they were trying to get us to stop using it. If they thought it was associated with violence and it was anger that was fueling it, why would they use it as a part of their celebrations? It doesn't make sense. So again, that's just hypocrisy on behalf of Minister Tufton. Yes, we did lose the election. We're coming all the way from 14 constituencies. We got a 100% increase, and we also increased our votes by 97,000. The JLP only increased their votes by 5,000. Despite saying that they are the greatest administration in the history of the country, they were only able to poll 5,000 more votes than they did in 2020. We were able to poll 97,000 more. And
hold that thought. I'm at the break. I want to just let you finish that and ask you one more question, Dr. Campbell, just before I let you go. But let me just go to the break with Dr. Leighton Campbell of the People's National Party. He's a General Secretary, talking about the party's performance, how the party performed, and the way forward. The concerns the party has, the PNP has expressed about alleged voter suppression. Dr. Campbell, are you though sure that there were no issues coming from PNP operatives in the field?
It's a mixture. And as I said, that's the reason why we took the responsible approach, not to just have a knee-jerk response and just go out there to put everything into the public space. For instance, we do have a few persons who would have said to us that this individual voted and they were dead. When we make a check with the ECJ, with the EOJ, realize that it is actually not so. So a lot of emotion takes place in the aftermath of an election, especially when you lose. But there are some persons that have come forward that are willing to give their affidavit to say that they were offered money, other persons that were given other things to try and induce them to go in a particular direction. So some of these are things that can be substantiated. And I'm very surprised that Minister Tufton is saying that it did not take place. I would think that he would say he's not aware of it, because to suggest that it did not take place is, for him to say that, suggests that he's saying he has intimate knowledge as to what took place across the entire island, and that cannot be so.
All right. Gonna have to leave it there. Dr. Campbell, we appreciate your time as always. We'll be in touch. I know we'll be talking.
You're welcome.